Hi everybody. This is a presentation meant for middle schoolers. So a few days ago I was visiting my favorite park and I found out that the city had put plans in place to tear it down, replace some of my favorite structures, and generally just change everything. My first thought obviously was, oh no, what's going to happen to my favorite park? Are they going to burn it down? Are they going to put up a strip mall, a splash pad, something that no one wants? What are they going to do? How are they going to change things? And is it going to be any better or worse than it is now? And I can already see the wheels turning in your heads. You're wondering, okay, so they're going to tear down your park, but what does this have to do with me? Well, it gave me an idea. Something about destruction as art. So I'm going to teach you all a new type of poetry today. When you hear poetry, I'm sure some of the most immediate names you think of are William Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe, or, to put it more bluntly, a bunch of old dead guys. So, why are we going to do poetry? Well, we're not going to do exactly what they did. Remember how I mentioned destruction as an art form? Now, I'm sure that some of you, when you're told you need to write a new poem or you need to write an essay, your first thought is, oh God, the world's on fire, everything is ending, life is terrible, just kill me now. Which is why I have these words that I like to live by, and they're a pretty good slogan. Don't panic. It's not what you think, and you might even have some fun. And if you get the reference, more power to you. The type of poetry that we're going to be doing today is not your conventional poetry. As a matter of fact, you won't have to really write anything. You're going to be standing on the shoulders of giants. What does that mean? Well, let's find out. We're going to be doing something called blackout poetry. As you can see by the images on the screen, blackout poetry is less about poetry and more about art, but at the same time it can still be very poetic. You're not going to write the poem, but clip it out. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a book. It can be a book that you have more than one copy of. It can be a book that you hate. It can be a book that you love. Though I will warn you, use something that you don't mind getting destroyed. And yes, any book will do. Harry Potter, Twilight, really anything you can get your hands on. It can be the Bible if you really wanted. It can be anything. And sometimes books are hard to come by, so that's not the only thing we can do. Let's say the books are too heavy, or you're indecisive, or you just don't own any books at all because, well, everything's digital, everything's on your tablet, or, well, you burned them all last week. It doesn't matter. You can also use newspapers. So once you have your books or your newspapers or whatever you're going to use as your medium, you're also going to need a lot of Sharpies. I found this image and it's some friends of mine. If you know who they are, I hope you enjoy their music. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is find a selection in your newspaper or your book. Find a page or a few pages, and you're going to want to read them. It's not important what the books are saying, more that you are familiarizing yourselves with the words on the page. While you're familiarizing yourself with the words on the page, think about what you want to say with your piece of blackout poetry. Think about images, think about feelings, maybe emotions, or specific words that just catch your eye, and how you might string them together coherently. Pick out the words that you want to use. I would recommend having a piece of notebook paper off to the side, writing down the words before you start highlighting anything. That way you can kind of structure your poem, know what you're going to say before you say it. It's important to do this bit of rough draft work before you start, because if you don't, you will find yourself painting yourself into a corner of a room. You'll have all of these words, or none of them, and your poem won't make any sense. If you follow these steps, before you know it, you'll have your own piece of blackout poetry. You didn't really write anything, but you still created something. You made art out of destruction. You destroyed something to make something new. Who knows? It might be the next big thing. The idea of destruction as an art form isn't unique to blackout poetry. This image of President George Washington was a canvas that was destroyed, yet it still qualifies as art. Blackout poetry is the same way. The thing to remember here is that when you engage in things like blackout poetry and other destructive art forms, you're changing things. And change is a part of growth. As I said, change is a part of growth. This isn't the same park that I showed you at the beginning, but it is something that the City Council has suggested we replace our current park with. It's change, but it's growth, just like you.